Many composers make one simple mistake that goes on to kill any chance they have of getting that music signed into a music library. And if your music is not in a music library, then it will probably never wind its way up onto a TV show and collect you money. Which means if you make this mistake, you are essentially killing off any chance you have at monetizing your craft of making music for a living. And it really is an entirely simple but avoidable mistake, and that's what we're going to cover in this video today. And I will say before we get into it that the mistake people make is it's fairly logical, and it does make sense as being the correct way to do things if you look at music from an outsider's perspective. But if you are an insider in this industry, then you know exactly why this is a death sentence for your music, and you can spot it right away, and you just know that every time you hear it, that poor composer has no chance of ever getting this music signed. And it is glaringly obvious when you hear it. And so in this video, I'm going to tell you not only what this one mistake is, but why it is a mistake, and furthermore, how you can easily remedy it to change everything and hopefully stand a much better chance of getting your music on TV shows. Hello rock stars, Matt Vanderbo here, and in my previous video, which you can watch by clicking this link right here, I talked about the 3 general purposes of music cues or vocal songs that are written specifically for placements on TV shows or movies or any form of media. As a quick recap, those 3 general purposes are to add energy to a scene, or number 2, to create a sense of setting or place, or number 3, to add emotional weight to whatever is happening on the screen. And in this video, we're going to talk specifically about the third one, which is using our music as a vehicle to convey a sense of emotion to the person watching the TV show. And at this point, I guess I will just tell you what the common mistake is that people make. And the mistake I'm talking about is when composers or songwriters try to put more than one emotion in their music. So in other words, the music starts off with this emotion and then goes to this one and then maybe goes to this one over here and then finally finishes up over here. And you've taken us on a little journey that goes from 2 to 3 to 4 completely separate emotions. And that is just an absolute no-no in this world. You can't do that kind of thing if you want to get your music onto TV. And I will tell you why that's a no-no in just a second. But for right now, I'm assuming what's going on in these new composers' heads. And believe me, I've been there. When I first started in this industry about 15 or so years ago, I made all the mistakes you could possibly make. And so I did this very thing where I started off a track at pick an emotion, right? I started off here and then I transitioned to something entirely different. And then by the end, I'd gone to a third emotion. And in my head, and I'm assuming maybe in other people's as well, the thought process is that we want to deliver variety to the music library or to the editor of a TV show. And the more variety we can put into a track, the better our chances of getting something, right? I mean, it's kind of like buying 20 lottery Powerball tickets on a single ticket. Now you have 20 chances of winning the Powerball instead of just one. That's the thought process that I think is going through a lot of people's heads, but it is a very big misconception and something that you should not be in the business of doing. And before we go any further, I should just pause and say that, yes, variety is a huge part of our music. We do want variety in our music. We just don't want emotional variety. So the variety that you put within your cues and your songs should come through the arrangement and the production style and the density or simplisticness of various different sections. So you could start with something that's very robust and move on to something that's much more sparse, and then something that falls maybe somewhere in between, and then end up even bigger than it started. This is variety from a composition standpoint, but nowhere in there do we want to add a variety of emotions. What you always need to do when you are making music for TV is pinpoint one emotion to write to and do not deviate from that one thing. Okay, let me reiterate. You write one emotion. only one emotion, and your composition should never take us away from that one emotion. Now, it can do that one emotion in various levels of intensity, but it should not just take you all the way over to another side of the emotional spectrum. And the reasons for this are pretty simple. There's actually 3 reasons that you should only stick to one emotion and not just jump all over the place. The first reason is that when you actually sign your music to a music library, they will probably task you with putting together metadata. And sometimes this is done through an online platform. Sometimes it's done through an Excel spreadsheet. Every company does it a little bit differently. But one of the most common things that they will ask for is what emotion or mood is this song? And depending on the company, they will ask you for anywhere from 1 to 3 moods. 3 is about the highest I have ever seen. So you get to choose 1, 2, or 3 different emotions that represent the mood of your track. And you're probably saying right now, well, if I get to choose 3 emotions, then why can't I compose 3 emotions? Well, the key is that the 3 moods that you select out of the list need to be in the same emotional family. Let me explain. If you had a track that was really angsty and aggressive sounding, then your 3 emotions could be aggressive, confident, and swaggery. Even though they are 3 distinctly different words, and you could argue that they're entirely different emotions, they are part of the same tight-knit family. Similarly, if you had a very sad sounding track, then the 3 emotions you could choose might be something like forlorn, melancholy, and lonely. So again, we've got 3 emotions that we've pinpointed, but they are all part of the same really close family. What you don't want to do is pick 3 words that run you all over the spectrum. For example, evil, joyful, whimsical. Okay, those 3 words are not at all in the same family. They take you from one extreme to the other, and we do not want to do that, because when a music library delivers this music to a client, then that client will be able to search through cues based on mood. And if they type in the word joyful and they find your track that starts off with a bombastic, aggressive section that lasts for, say, 30 seconds, then they're going to click on that. They are going to hear aggression, loud, in-your-face music, and that is not joyful at all. Even though your joyful section comes in at the 30-second mark, they are not going to get to it because they are instantly going to move on to the next track, assuming that the music library made a coding mistake in putting the joyful label on a clearly aggressive sounding song. And what that really does is that makes the music library look bad. So the editor is not going to say, oh, what a bad composer. They're going to say, that music library can't be trusted to put simple emotional keywords on their music. And we do not want to be in the business of making our music libraries look bad. So if an editor is working on a TV show and they type in joyful into the search field or open up the joyful folder or whatever platform they're using, they find all the joyful tracks. When they press play on yours, that joyful section better start from the moment they press play. They shouldn't have to wait for it as they wade through an entirely different mood to get there. And as a quick piece of strategy advice, it is always helpful, well, at least it's always helpful for me, to know what a mood or emotion you plan to compose before you even sit down at your computer to do it. So this all comes back around to really just having a plan before you start composing. Okay, so now let's move on to the second reason why this is a bad idea. Let's just say that a music library would actually sign one of your schizophrenic compositions and your piece does go from aggressive to joyful, and it would make the perfect piece of music to run from an aggressive to a joyful scene in a TV show. There is no way to guarantee that any show is ever going to have the exact sequence of events on screen that match up with the sequence of emotions that you had composed. So since we don't know what order the show's emotions are going to go in, it doesn't make sense for us to compose from one thing to another, hoping that someday miraculously the stars are going to align and what's what's happening on screen matches the emotional roller coaster of the music you composed. And the third reason that this is a mistake is that when editors are working on TV shows, when they need to move from one emotion to another, they simply get a new piece of music. That's just the way this business works. And this is the reason why a 30-minute TV show will have upwards of 50 or 60 different pieces of music inside of it, because they're using 8 to 20 seconds of each individual cue to land on that emotional beat. And then when the emotion on screen changes, they throw another cue in there. And that one will go for 8 to 20 seconds. So again, when a TV show needs emotions to change, they go get a new piece of music. They don't dig deeper into yours to the 45-second mark to find out whether or not you did something different on yours. So to recap this whole thing, when you make music for TV, you need to stick to one emotion and one emotion only, and you should never ever deviate from that emotion throughout the entirety of your piece. And furthermore, this emotion should be blatantly obvious to everybody from the moment someone presses play on your track. Like, this really has to jump out to the listener within the first 1 or 2 seconds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I hope that helped you today. If you are enjoying this content and this stuff is helpful towards you, or at least entertaining to watch or listen to while you're making cookies at home, then please subscribe to this channel. And if you're already subscribed in, thank you very much. Now we're going to end this video with a quick joke from the old button here, the Dad Joke 3000. Let's go.
Who is the queen of school supplies? The ruler.
Yeah, that one's all right. All right, talk to you rock stars later. Toodles.